just because of how bad people are. Like ace 5 offsuit again, two tight players here and a fish in the big blind. I think this is a pretty standard raise. Okay, so here's the thing with bet sizing that I think is important that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people might make their standard c-bet, which is like 250 or something like that. I'm just going to bet 3 here because I have a strong hand. And I think if I didn't have a hand, I would bet like 225 because I don't think his calling range changes. Okay, here I'm going to make a 3-bet and get the money in. Let's make it like 20 here. Jack 4 suited. This guy hasn't been doing too much and he's tight. I think I can raise that. And then we obviously call this off. Okay, there we go. And we get sucked out on. So like, again, here this flop's really dry. I think I can bet like 230 and he will fold the same range of hands that he would fold to a $3.30 bet. So you can adjust your bet sizing against weaker players by betting more when you have it and less when you don't. I'm just going to peel my jack high flush draw to his min bet. I'm just going to call again. The short stack here is really annoying. I guess I'll just open this. I mean, it is just because these guys are so tight, and they seem like the kind that will just call and check fold flops when they do call. So I can play a lot of hands in position profitably here. But it looks like all the regulars have left the deep table, so I'm not deep with anyone, which is unfortunate. Ace 3 suited in the cutoff. This should all be very standard opens, even if you're playing tighter than I am. But anyway, what I was saying with the bet sizing is you can basically just manipulate your bet size. You should also manipulate it according to board texture, bet more on a drawy board than a dry board. But if okay, like on an ace 2-2 flop, you raise pre-flop, fish calls out of the blind. So then ace 2-2 flop, he checks to you. You can bet like half pot, and he will probably call with the same hands that he would if you bet the full pot. So that means you should be adjusting by betting more when you have an ace or a strong ace or a 2, and betting less when you have 9-10 suited. So again, I'm not too keen to 3-bet this person. I flatted king queen here because I don't know. This guy has been playing tight. Guess I'll peel a gut shot for a min bet going this far. And the reason I flatted is because although I'm ahead of his cutoff range almost certainly, even if he's really tight, I don't know if he's going to call with worse hands out of position, but he will probably definitely continue with ace king and ace queen, which dominate me. Okay, here, now I think I've waited probably long enough to 3-bet in position. 7-3 suited is a fine enough hand. I'll just fold here. Yeah, and he snap folds. Okay. Again, here's type player 7-8. You know, we're isolating the 38-3 and 36-13 blinds. Okay, here I'll do something different here. We have the short stack here might shove over the dead money, so I'm going to flat here. It will also confuse this regular. And I will check raise this flop and get it all in, I believe. He checks back. That's like ace high, some pair. Sometimes just giving up with nothing. Or sometimes a weak 10, but I'm just going to bet big here, hope to get called. And I do. Okay, I don't think he ever has a heart draw here. But he probably has a showdown hand as opposed to a draw, so I'm just going to bet 850 again and hope to get called by a queen or a 10. This is a board I can bet less on, like 225. and get the snap folds. So the thing is, like, it really doesn't matter that much what you're betting. It's as long as you're betting something big enough to not induce a check raise bluff. Okay, here someone's probably isolating the fish, so I'm gonna make this 8.5, and this is, I don't do this too much because you do blow the fish out of the hand. He's not gonna be happy. You know, you can't see any flops, but that spot was just too good because this guy's range is wide. His range is really wide, and I have position if I am called with a hand that plays reasonably well, and is non-dominated. And if you're trying to loosen up your game, you have to remember that you should be opening the most hands from the cutoff of the button, the least from under the gun and under the gun +1, and you should be pretty tight out of the blinds too. You really just want to have a really high attempt to steal because you're going to be able to outplay most people in position. Against a bad player, there's a real standard set mine. I want to check. I'm probably going to check raise this flop. It'll be, if he bets it, he's bet all the times he has. Well, now he min bets, I'll just peel. But the reason I would check raise is because, okay, this guy limps. I would 3-bet here a lot, but this 16-11 limps, I'm a little suspicious. Maybe it's a misclick, but I know he limp folded, so it probably was a misclick. He pots here. See, this is probably like a nuts or air situation, so I'm going to call this because I've seen him be very bluffy before, and we have history. Okay, so we should make note, he min bets the nut flush. And so yeah, he had the nuts there. But reason why I think, like here, I'm gonna open 2-3 off, so I think I'd probably open any 2 cards against this guy in the small blind versus big blind, just because he seems pretty tight and in line. Oh, and I did not make it. I raised to what I raised when I play 1-2. So that was a misclick, but worked out. And Tobias says, laughing my ass off. Okay. This is an isolate here. Guy is a big enough stack. This we're going to raise to 3. 6-5, sometimes a 3-bet. Again, the short stack really is not. This is why you don't want short stacks in your game. Here's a really dry flop. I'm just going to bet to fold out better high card hands. I would if I get called, I'll barrel like queens, kings, and aces. You know, get them off of pocket 4s or whatever. I'm gonna squeeze here. I usually make my squeezes a bit less than pot just because it puts so much pressure on them anyhow. I'm just gonna complete here. If this guy shoves, so I think if I do the math, I'd probably have to call, which sucks, but like these guys are, even though it's under the gun, he seems sort of bad, so if he calls, I'm happy to play a flop with him. Like, this flop is one that if he's got an ace, he'll continue, and if he doesn't, he most likely won't. Sometimes he'll stick around with a pair, but so, like, I can bet, like, I'll bet 9 here and see what happens. And I'm betting small because I don't have a strong hand, and I don't think his calling range will change whether I bet 15 or I bet 9. Okay, so he check raises me, and he most likely has an ace. When the short stack, who's been playing really tight, min raises, I guess he flats. I'll call with this just because, so I'm getting good odds, but it's pretty close to a fold. Got an open-ended straight draws, but 2.5 here. This is just, you know, standard semi-bluff, fold out some better hands, you know, better paired hands. Okay, so he slow played something, but well, this I'm going to raise just because there's a poster, I guess I'll just call, give him pot odds, and then I'm just going to open shove this river when I hit. I'd have to do the math to figure that out, but I think there's enough in the pot, and there's some implied odds, because I was going to check fold all rivers that I didn't hit in. I don't think he's got a flush very often.